أهلا وسهلا فيكم متابعينا بحلقة مميزة وخاصة من برنامج يلا. حلقتنا اليوم مع شخصية ملهمة لإلي شخصيا ولكثير من الناس، وهي مونتانا تاكر، الراقصة والمغنية الأميركية، والتي لديها ملايين المتابعين على صفحاتها بالسوشيال ميديا، والمعروفة بدعمها المتفاني للعدالة الاجتماعية والقيم الإنسانية، ووقوفها بوجه معاداة السامية والعنصرية. لتعرفوا أكثر عن مونتانا ورحلتها في عالم الشهرة وآخر مشاريعها، تابعوا هذا اللقاء من برنامج يلا. Thank you so much for joining us today, Montana Tucker.
Thank you for having me.
Montana, I want to start by asking you about your love for dancing and singing and performing. You're really great. You inspire me personally. How has your passion of art influenced, of course, you today, and how did you get to where you are?
I think that it's just always been a part of me since I was a little girl. I was really bullied when I was younger, and I think that with the content that I'm making now, I want to make sure that it's extremely all-inclusive, and no matter who you are, I want everyone to feel like they can watch my content and they could relate to my content. And I want everyone to feel like no matter what race, religion, sexual preference you are, that we're all kind of in this together, whether it's unifying through dance, through music, through religion, through, values, morals, etc.
And how do you think art in general and dance and music can actually play a role in particularly educating people and bringing people together? I do see this as a universal language, but how do you see it in terms of talking about important topics like anti-Semitism, educating people about the history of the Jewish people, about Israel, about hate in general?
Yeah, so I built my platforms from music, from dance, and I always say that music and dance are the universal languages. And I think that a lot can be done through music and through dance, and I've tried to use whether it's my songs that I've written before, whether it's my dance videos. I'm actually going back to Israel next week, and I'm going to be doing an incredible series of dance videos in Israel this time with really powerful messages in them. So I'm actually really excited for those because I feel like my life has kind of been separated. I feel like I have my dance and my music world, and then I feel like I have my activism world, and I feel like they've been kind of separate. I use the same platforms to showcase both of them, but I feel like they haven't really crossed boundaries a lot since October 7th. And so I'm actually really excited to be able to finally really merge the two. I also did a cover song with Matisyahu, who is incredible. And of course, he, through his music, talks about peace and unifying everybody. And so we got to do something together. We did a cover of his song One Day, which, the message of the song is all about unifying everybody in peace. And so as much as I can do that with my content, it's really important for me. But I'm really thankful because people did only start following me for music and dance. And now that everyone has followed along my journey, and the amount of support, obviously it comes with a lot of hate, but the amount of support I have as well for what I'm passionate about I'm really thankful.
Definitely, courageousness is a key right now in terms of seeing what's happening, in terms of social media specifically. But then when you're talking about, bringing arts and music and dance, and then finding that balance.
Exactly.
To talking about issues like the October 7th massacre. So how do you create that balance?
For me, because I feel like it's hard to do anything else besides talk about October 7th and what has happened since then. I feel like it's taken over my life. And I feel like every day I have to speak out about it. It's really hard for me not to. So I've, of course, still been dancing. I performed recently. I'm still filming all my dance content and getting in the recording studio. But I feel it's my responsibility to keep using my platforms to talk about what happened and what is continuing to happen, because it seems like most of the world is silent, or they don't even know what has happened and what is happening, and they're just following the trend to be anti-Semitic or anti-Israel. And, you know, for me, being the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors, I feel like it's my responsibility to use the platforms that I've been so blessed with. You know, to have almost 14 million followers across social media is pretty wild. And I have to make sure that I use it for good.
And it must be so scary to see this happening today. I mean, I saw your video and you talked about your grandparents who are Holocaust survivors, and I cried with you.
I think that your great-grandma knew she was going to be marched to her death.
My mom tells me the horrific story of my 13-year-old grandma and her mother being put in the line for death, while her sister was put in the other line, right here on these tracks. My grandma tried to stay with her mom, but her mom had told her, whatever happens, you stay with your older sister.
That saved her life.
The line she left went right to the gas chambers.
It was so emotional to see, but to see what's happening today.
It's, you know, my Zadie, my grandpa, passed away 4 years ago at age 97, and my grandma is still alive today at 95. But unfortunately, she has Alzheimer's disease of 15 years. But sometimes I say, fortunately, she does, because I can't imagine what she would say if she knew what was happening today. And I can't imagine if my Zadie was still alive, what he would say. I mean, the fact that we're here, you know, we say the never again, you know, and we say never again is now. And it's, you know, how the Holocaust started. It started in colleges, by the way. You know, you can Google and find exact parallels of Jewish students not being allowed in colleges in Europe. So that's why everyone, you know, needs to take this so seriously. And again, it's not just an Israeli problem. You know, it's an American problem now. What is going on with the protests at the schools, and just they're burning American flags and all kinds of things that they're doing. I think finally people are somewhat opening their eyes, but we need more eyes opened, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And you definitely continue to use your own abilities to do so. At the Grammys, you wore your iconic solidarity dress and you made a significant statement. Can you describe the message you intended to convey with your dress, and what type of response did you receive?
When I was asked to go to the Grammys, I was so excited. It's, as a musician, as an artist, that's like the ultimate place to be invited to. And for previous award shows, I know I've been involved in a lot of these group chats where everyone was trying to get some of the artists and managers and agents, et cetera, to wear the yellow ribbon pin, small pin. And like 2 people wore it, like no one was wearing it. And so when I got invited, I knew that I had to not just wear a small pin, I had to make sure that no one could miss my message. And I was, you know, definitely nervous about it because it was a big statement, but I knew I had to do it. And it came with a lot of craziness when I was there. They asked me if I could remove the ribbon. They said that it was too controversial and they don't do politics at the Grammys.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was pretty wild.
I cannot believe that.
Later on in the night, though, Harvey Mason Jr., who's the head of the Recording Academy, came up to me and said, "Thank you for wearing that dress. I love your dress." And we asked to take a picture. So that was great. But, you know, to get messages from hostage families that I keep in contact with, they just thanked me, and they were, you know, crying and being so thankful that finally they felt like someone's there for them, that someone's speaking up for them, and that the world, you know, on a big entertainment platform. So that was all I needed, just to hear from them, honestly. And I'm so thankful it made an impact. You know, nothing is going to be a big enough impact until all the hostages are home. Yes. But these small impacts, I call them small, because again, we all just need to keep fighting and doing everything we can until they're all home. So anytime I have the opportunity to do something like that, I absolutely will.
And I can't believe that people who want to say that being in solidarity with the hostages is politicization, while they're the ones who are politicizing something that is 100% about human rights, basic human rights, not to be abducted and held hostage. Yeah. It's just mind-blowing to me. I kind of want to talk about what you basically mentioned earlier, which is what's happening on our campuses. You went to UCLA to try to talk to the protesters.
And I don't know why you guys can't speak to me. And like, this is so intimidating and scary for you guys to be standing here. I literally have walked around for the past 2 hours just asking peaceful questions like, what's going on here today? Why are you guys here? And no one can speak to me. And you guys are laughing. I don't understand how this is funny.
Tell me what happened with you when you tried to just engage with them by talking.
I think that dialogue is so incredibly important. And I think that people should have the right to protest, absolutely. But when it starts getting violent and calling for the death of anybody, that's where the line shouldn't be crossed. And what I saw there was just so disheartening and so scary and upsetting. And it was the first time that I feel like since October 7th, since this fight that we're all in, that I really broke down, because I was staring at these students in the eye. And it was like staring at, it's like nothing was there, you know. It was like a different person was like inside their body or something. I don't know. It was just terrible. And then a day later, it started getting very violent. So when I was there, it wasn't violent, but eerie. Like it felt like I was in some kind of like thriller cult movie. It was just very scary. But what happened online after as well was almost even worse.
What happened?
People started like, it became a TikTok trend to stitch my video and like start making fun of me, saying that I'm acting, that I wasn't actually crying. Go back to Poland. Like, your grandparents should have died and now it's your turn. That's why I continue to share my content, because I think people need to learn. And I think that some people just need to be educated. So I hope for a day that we all come together against terrorists, against evil. And I truly think the world would be such a better place.
Yes, and I really hope that for the college students who are protesting to listen to voices that are going to tell them a reality that whoever is inciting them is not telling them, that Hamas is the enemy of Israel, of the Palestinians, and of everybody else in the Middle East and Africa. They're the ones who destroyed our region. As you know, Montana, we focus a lot on the Middle East, North Africa. Our audience are from there. I was born and raised there. In your opinion, what are the most effective ways to promote people-to-people peace in the MENA region? As you know, before October 7th, there was of course, the Abraham Accords, and then peace was growing. But then we have the influence of terrorist groups like Hamas, ISIS, IRGC, Hezbollah. How do you think is the way to connect between the people?
Something that I found, even in general with my content specifically, is sharing these individual stories. I think that instead of generalizing everything, when you hear like someone's like individual story, individual fight, individual feelings, I think people get impacted by that a lot more. And I think we can learn a lot from each other. I think every single person you meet has struggles. And I think if you can sit down and have a conversation, you can get to some kind of understanding. And it's okay to agree to disagree, but we don't have to hate each other. We don't have to want to kill each other. And, I do believe that there is a way for everyone to live in peace.
Finally, Montana, before you go, I wanted to ask you to give our audience, young generations in the Middle East, North Africa, your advice. And what do you think if they are also having their own talents and then they want to use their talents to advocate for peace and understanding? What advice would you give them?
It takes one person to make a difference. So if you get to talk to one person and you can impact their life, you never know what can happen, whether that's through your making a song or whether that's through donating or whatever it is that you may do to use what your resources are to make a difference. You never know the impact it's going to make.
Thank you so much, Montana. I want to tell you, can we say yalla to the camera together?
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Yalla!